What's up, Infected, and welcome to the Quarantine. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a Kickstarter game by the name of Daimyo's Fall from Axis Mundi. Now, Daimyo's Fall plays 2 to 5 players, and it plays in approximately 45 to 75 minutes, give or take. Now, if you like what you see here in this video, I will have a link to the Kickstarter in the corner up there and down in the description. It'll take you directly to the Kickstarter page then, and it'll be able to provide way more information than I could possibly cover in this video. Well, what is Daimyo's Fall? Well, Daimyo's Fall is a competitive anime-style treasure hunting deck builder set in feudal Japan, where the players are quickly competing against each other and quickly trying to gain treasure from 3 separate treasure decks between 2 different factions. And you're trying to gain as much treasure as you can before all of the petals in the game are removed. And I know a lot of that probably doesn't make any sense, so let's just dive straight over to the overview. Everything you see here is a Kickstarter prototype of the game, so it is also, of course, subject to change. In Daimyo's Fall, the players will be using various heroes that you see here in order to compete against each other and try to build an efficient deck and try to gain as much treasure as they can. To do this, the characters will be buying and selling various cards out of their deck from either the ninja or the samurai cards, buying and selling them as they need and adding them to their deck to make their deck better. All in order to gain treasure out of the 3 respective treasure decks: the ninja deck, the regalia deck, or the samurai deck. Now, each piece of treasure has incredible abilities worth victory points at the end of the game. However, the players are in a time crunch trying to do all of this before the last petal is removed from the supply and ending the game. What sets Daimyo's Fall apart from other deck builders is the ability to dynamically adjust your deck as you need. In a standard deck builder, specific cards allow you to remove cards from your deck. However, Daimyo's Fall allows you to, at any time, use the sell value that you see on the cards for any card that's in your hand and just remove it from your deck, putting it back into the domain in exchange for currency to then buy better cards to add to your deck, allowing you to very quickly make an efficient deck. But you do have to be careful with a wide variety of heroes with wide variety of abilities that allow you to gain all kinds of treasure. You can only have one of them active at any round, so you have to think very carefully about which hero you're going to have active each one of your turns. At the end of the game, whichever player has more victory points, either on the field or in their deck at the end of the round when the last petal is removed, is declared the winner. Before I get started, I do need to state for full disclosure that I did do a paid tutorial for Daimyo's Fall. I'll have a link to that right here if you'd like to see it. It's an in-depth tutorial on how to play the game. But let's go ahead and dive right into it. Alright, if you know me and you know my channel, you know that I love anime-style games and I love deck builders. So when I reached out to get a copy of Daimyo's Fall and they accepted, I was pretty excited. So we got together when I got it and we played it and we thoroughly enjoyed the game. Now, my favorite thing about Daimyo's Fall is the sellback mechanic. If you don't know, a normal deck builder, you start out with a crappy deck. Everybody starts out generally with the same deck, and you're slowly acquiring cards and putting them into your deck, and then trying to maybe get rid of the crappy cards that you either don't need anymore or they're just not good for whatever your strategy is. Because any hand that you draw that has those cards in it, they're wasted opportunities. You could have something better than the crappy starter cards. And this can result in some very frustrating times sometimes, where maybe you get the card that allows you to get rid of cards, but you don't get it with the cards you want to get rid of, so you can't get rid of them. And it can be sometimes frustrating in a game. Whereas Daimyo Falls circumvents that entirely. At any time during your turn, any card in your hand, you can just sell back to the market get rid of it out of your deck and get money for it. So like these 3 cards you don't want anymore, sell it back to the market, you get 1 card. You just traded 3 cards for 1 good card that actually does what you need it to do. And that is such a really cool mechanic. And then when you take that in conjunction with the heroes are so wildly varied that your strategy is of course going to base around your heroes. So this game, maybe I got a hero that I loot cards every time that I draw 4 cards. Awesome, I'm gonna play a draw deck and just try to draw as many cards as I can. But then maybe next game I get a hero that lets me, the more things I deploy, the more treasure I do. So now I'm gonna start basing on cards that have plays instead. So I'm gonna try to play a bunch of cards and screw drawing a bunch. I'm just gonna try to get a bunch of cards played, or maybe this one duels. So now I'm gonna kit my deck around dueling people and beating everybody up and just dominating them. And so your strategy is always gonna change. And then the fact that you can have 3 heroes in front of you. So even in a single game, your deck is going to continuously evolve because, this hero came out, you really want that hero, you go ahead and grab it, and now you start building cards to go towards, both of your heroes. So you're not always out, but then you have to think ahead of, okay, who am I gonna activate? What cards am I gonna buy? What cards am I gonna keep? And yada, yada, yada. And it's just such a really interesting dynamic. I love it so much. It's easily the best part of the game. However, it's not perfect. As with all games, it has its own flaws. The biggest one being it's a basic issue that most deck builders have, is once one person starts winning, sometimes it's really hard to either pull them back or to stop them from winning. You can. There are ways in the game to do it, but a lot of the time it's very difficult or you don't have the option to do it. And that can be a problem for some people. And if you start losing, if you're behind, it's hard to catch back up. With that said, a deck builder, if you're unfamiliar, the more you play it, the more you understand how the mechanics work, the more you understand, okay, well, next time if I do this instead, this will work better. And it's an engine builder, it's an efficiency builder. And so the more you play it, the less of an issue those are. But there are definitely things that I should probably point out to people who may not be familiar with deck builders. Before I wrap this up, there is one thing that I feel that I should probably address. I've been kind of reading some of the comments around the game and whatnot, and a lot of people are complaining that a lot of the artwork in the game is very provocative, which it's not really that bad. So if you know me, I love me some anime boobies in my game. And when I first look at the game, I immediately thought anime boobies are going to be all over it. But it's actually not. There's nothing really in this game that isn't on daytime television in the United States. Some people are prudes and they're just gonna hate the game because maybe a girl's wearing a tank top or maybe there's a guy with no shirt on. So there are gonna be those people, but the artwork in the game is outstanding. Their artist knocked it out of the park and deserves a lot of credit, a lot of props. But it's not really that provocative of a game. I wouldn't have any single problem playing this at my local shop or out in public. The artwork is gorgeous and it's not really that bad. Like I said, it's no worse than what you would see on daytime television. The last one being is some of the heroes just downright suck. They're not nearly as good as the others, but then there's a few heroes that are just better than every other hero. In this group, you just never buy. There's no reason to ever buy them. These ones, if they come out and you don't buy them, you're an idiot, is essentially what it is. One specific hero, if you get her early enough in the game and you manage to activate her ability, which is very difficult to do, by the way, but if you do manage to pull it off early enough in the game, you're probably going to win and there's not a lot anybody can do about it, and it's kind of a bummer. With that said, there are ways to circumvent it. For example, dueling, I can just keep beating up your heroes and stop you from doing anything every turn. And I can essentially stun lock you. So it effectively means you have to keep hands in your cards in your hand in order to retaliate, meaning you're not able to play as many cards, so you're not able to do anything because you have to keep these cards in your hand to stop me from beating your guys up. So it has its ways to balance it out, but it's just something that I definitely need to point out. Overall though, the game is outstanding. If you like deck builders, I highly recommend picking up Daimyo's Fall. It's a very fast-paced, very aggressive game that I definitely recommend to anybody who likes this style of game. So that is my review for Daimyo's Fall. Overall, I highly recommend it, and I definitely recommend picking it up. I'll have their Patreon link up here in the corner, so that'll take you directly to their Kickstarter page. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time in the quarantine.